Reaching to the sky, to the sky. As baby rises with the wind, fly away, fly away.
Most of you are aware, this class is a little different from previous classes. We are the 100th graduating class of Perryville High School, and we continue a long-standing tradition of excellence in education. It is the pursuit of this excellence that has led us here tonight, together as students for the last time. As any senior can tell you, the last 12 years could never be called simple. They've been confusing, exasperating, and impossible. They were also the most memorable years of our lives. For 4 years, all we could say was, "I can't wait to get out of here." But over the past few weeks, there has been a gradual attitude change among the seniors. Now, instead of dreaming of graduation, we remember all the good times. Most of us have probably wondered if we're really ready to leave. We think, God, I'm really going to miss this place. No, we won't miss getting up every day at 6:30, and we won't miss trying to sneak past the teacher on duty to cut the lunch line every day. The thought of no more homework absolutely thrilled us. Trekking halfway across campus in a cold soaking rain is not on our top 10 memories list. But every one of us will miss the friends we leave behind, and probably even a favorite teacher or two. We all have memories in this school. They're not all good memories. Some of them are painful, even heartbreaking. But I know I wouldn't trade mine for the world. Leaving high school is a little like being thrown out of the nest. After all, we spent 4 great years here together. I remember being a freshman and being told by the seniors that before we knew it, we'd be graduating. I never really believed that until tonight. But now we're here. All educated and absolutely no idea what we're going to do next. Alexander Graham Bell once said, "When one door closes, another opens." But we often look so long and so regretfully at the closed door that we cannot see the one that has opened for us. Graduating definitely closes the door for us. But somewhere, another door is waiting for you. Look for your door. Don't expect it to always be in the same place as your friends. Just as the door of high school brought us all together, graduation will separate us once again. As much as we'd like to be able to say that we face everything together, the limits of time and space are sometimes cruel. We lose track of our friends over the years, even when they're only a phone call away. It's pretty easy to say reach out and touch someone, except when you've lost their phone number. Instead of worrying about it, be thankful for the time we've had together, and the little bit we have left together tonight. Whatever you do, wherever your life leads you, always look to the future. Set goals, work to achieve them. Never be satisfied with being average. Don't be afraid to set high expectations for yourself. If you give it your best shot, you'll never let yourself down. In the years to come, we'll all look back at high school and remember how great it was. We will become our parents telling our children how terrible we had it, how we had to walk a half mile in hip-deep snow, uphill both ways, with no shoes, just to get from class to class. But even though we may forget each other's names and faces, the memories will stay just as vivid as yesterday. I'd like to thank the teachers of Perryville High School for all the time and energy they've invested in us. You've made high school pretty painful at times, but I guess we didn't make it all that easy for you either. I'd also like to thank my friends and my fiancé for standing behind me. Most of all, I want to thank my parents. Thank you for everything you've done, especially my mom. She stayed up with me more than one night past midnight to type a term paper or finish a lab, or just to keep me going when I wanted to quit. Everyone has someone they look up to, someone who motivates them. For me, it was my mom. I guess I'm kind of following in her footsteps because 32 years ago tonight, she was in the same position I'm in now. She was graduating valedictorian of St. Vincent's class of 1961. Mom, you've been my inspiration. Thanks for being there. I'll leave you tonight with the words of Bob Hope. When we recall the past, we usually find that it is the simplest things, not the great occasions, that in retrospect give us the greatest glow of happiness. The moments that I remember most vividly are not those about rubbing elbows with the great, or the awards I've received, much as I enjoy all that. What I remember best are quiet moments with my family, unwinding on the golf course, convivial old times with old friends. In short, having fun. I wish the class of 93 the best of luck in your lives and in your futures. In the words of a friend of mine, hold on to your memories. They're the only thing we have left that won't change. Thank you.
Congratulations. I was talking to my dad the other day about how great it would be to be out of high school, how great it would feel to be free and independent. I told him how anxious I was to be out in the real world. He told me he could give me some of the real world experience before graduation, so the transition would be easier. Seeing the obvious advantages to this plan, I graciously accepted his proposition of real world living. My room now cost me $100. Is this the real world? Come on, those places are... Most of us have visited college campuses, and we know that those places are less real than high school. Some of us are going to settle into jobs here in town. But is this the real world? Not any more than college is. At college, students are set in a controlled environment to look at a bunch of white mice. If we confine ourselves to a job that doesn't challenge us, we become the white mice that other people observe. If we limit ourselves to mediocrity, we are ignoring this very graduation. Why are we here? What are we celebrating? I mean, other than the fact that we no longer have to sit in those hard desks and push pencils and recite the countries of the world, we are here because we have achieved a level of learning as these people sitting behind me consider high enough to call us educated. Today that means more than saying we can read and write. We have taken courses across various dimensions. Our minds are strengthened in math and science. We've developed creative thought and writing in our English classes. We've developed our bodies in physical education. We've learned to express ourselves in music and the visual arts. And we learned to use our hands in the practical arts. We are here to receive a diploma. But what is that? What does diploma mean? To me, it is a certificate that says I am ready to experience life. Only then will we find the real world, once we experience life. Can we do that at college? Can we do that if we settle here in Perryville? Sure. We just must remember to never be content. We have our skills, so let's use them. Am I using my skills in physical education if I go to school and sit in my rear studying architecture? No. Would I be using my skills in science if I loaded a truck at Gilster's? No. So to remedy this, we must not limit ourselves. We must go roam, seek questions, or seek answers, try, fail, succeed, but most of all, continue to learn. Because this diploma doesn't mean our education is done. It means we are ready to begin. Our education begins when we truly experience life, and that is the real world. Each of us must make the choice. Do we use our education to seek beyond to discover the real world, or do we settle for mediocrity? You know, I wanted to end this speech with some great quote. I looked through books and speeches, and of all of them I read, only one really spoke to me. I thought about high school and all of my teachers and all my classes and those many band rehearsals, play practices, and that one year I ran track for some reason. I don't know why. And one quote seemed to fit the best. Free at last, thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. I told that to my parents and they laughed at me. They usually do. They've always encouraged me though, and they said if I could fit that into the message of my speech that I should. I thought about it a while, but I just kept smiling and thinking how great it would be to be free at last. Then my mom reminded me what it meant to be free. With freedom comes responsibility. A great reason why Martin Luther King Jr. wanted true freedom so badly was so he, and others like him, could use their talents for the betterment of society. With the freedom of America from Great Britain came the responsibility to govern ourselves and to form a great nation. So for us, our freedom from school means that we have the responsibility to use the talents we have in the schools we've learned to better ourselves and society. This is our graduation. This is a time to look beyond. It is a time to test. It is a time to search. It is a time to learn. This is my graduation, and I thank the Lord for all that I've been given. I thank my parents for their guidance. I thank my teachers for my education. I thank my peers for my friendship. I thank you all, but not so much for what you have given me, but rather for what you have prepared me to receive. Best wishes to all of you in the century class of 1993, and going out to discover the real world. I thank my peers for my friendship. I thank you all, but not so much for what you have given me, but rather for what you have prepared me to receive. Best wishes to all of you in the century class of 1993, and going out to discover the real world.
Eric, it's my pleasure to present to you the certificate and award for the 1993 salutatorian. Folks, I present to you Eric Gidman, salutatorian of the class of 1993.
Congratulations and thank you, graduates of 1993. Also, I'd like to take this time to inform you and where we can congratulate a couple of your classmates that are in Jefferson City. Kevin Robinson is the new state champion in the discus, and Kurt Garris will receive state recognition for placing third in the triple jump. I would like to ask that each of you take a moment, think back over these past 12 years, well, in some cases, maybe 13 or 14 years, and count your blessings when thinking of some of the people that have played such an important role in your life. Many of you may recall the good times or the bad that you shared with your parents. Some may remember that special girlfriend or boyfriend. For others, you may think of your fellow classmates that have always been there for you. For some of you, a teacher may have played a major role in your lives. They've been there to teach, to counsel, to listen, and to help whenever they could. You should be grateful and count your blessings for having people such as these in your life. One such special teacher is Mr. Steve Couple, who has taught science PHS for the past 4 years. He's also been the cross-country coach and the track coach. Mr. Couple is an outstanding teacher who helps students want to learn, makes learning fun, and makes the class interesting. Mr. Couple always has a smile and is always ready to help a student. Mr. Couple possesses all the qualities that make the type of teacher students like and respect, and that's why the 1993 graduating class of Perryville High School has chosen Mr. Couple to be their commencement speaker. Remember, knowledge is power. It is my privilege to present to you Mr. Steve Couple.
No, he wasn't.
Thank you, Mr. Holland, and I hope that the majority of you feel the same that Mr. Holland feels. I know there's a few of you out there that may not think that and feel the same way, but I hope that I've touched most of your lives somehow. You know, as I was thinking of a way to give a graduation address, I was thinking the past few weeks, and it's really difficult to say something that 3 billion other people have not said in 3 billion other graduation addresses. So I came up with a little poem. I hope you like this. It goes something like this. Ah, the class of '93. What a splendid sight on a beautiful night under the football light. You're graduating tonight, but don't be uptight. Everything's gonna be all right. At least I think it might. I wish you good luck and success. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I look up when people are going, oh my God, it's a dream come true, a 10-second speech. It's going to be just a little bit longer than that, though. I got a few other things I want to say tonight. And if you would, think of me not as a graduation speaker, but, you know, with the atmosphere here, I feel like I should get out an electric guitar and start jamming a rock song. Graduation! So just think of me doing that, Ozzy Osbourne type stuff, something like that. Now, when student council approached me about this, I was a little apprehensive at first, and not because of any of you, don't get me wrong, it was because of a lot of you out there. I've had most of these people in class before, not all of them probably, but the majority of them, and I've really enjoyed having the class and spoke in front of them, no problem. It was the parents and the family and things I was apprehensive about. So if it looks like I'm ignoring some of you, it's because I am. Don't take offense to that. I'm going to speak to these people right here in front of me on the left and the right, and speak to them only. And you know, I feel bad because I'm looking in the paper and I'm hearing in the radio and all this kind of stuff that here's Bill Cosby speaking at Temple University for graduation, and Rush Limbaugh coming to Cape Central to speak for graduation, and Ronald Reagan, our friend, speaking at Eureka, where he graduated from college, and you get me. And I thought, oh, how lucky you are. But I think you do need a few things to be qualified to speak at a graduation. And first of all, you need to be able to speak, and so far I've been able to do that so far the past 2 minutes. You need to be able to form a complete sentence, which I can. That's a complete sentence. And you need to have graduated from high school, which I have in the past number of times. So I am able to, I feel qualified enough to speak in front of you. But this is kind of a unique situation also because I feel probably closest to this class since I've been here at Perryville High School, because we all came in together as freshmen. And unfortunately, we are all going out tonight. Well, you're going out. I'm in the 25-year plan. I have about 25 more years to go in high school, but you're all making it out of here tonight. And I'm really proud of you guys. I hope I don't, you know, I look out and I see some tears and stuff, and I'm kind of a sentimental type person. I hope I don't start choking up here. I hope those are tears of joy, though, because that's what this should be, is a joyful occasion, so keep that in mind. You also, this is special because you're the 100th graduating class, and you know that because they put a big, huge thing in the front here, and you can't hardly miss that. You are the 100th graduating class from PHS. This is the last time I'll speak in front of you. It's the first time I'll speak in front of all of you as a group like this, probably, and I am very honored, and I thank you for asking me to do this. And this is something probably that I will never forget as long as I live. Let me go on here. You know, there's I'm going through my classes this past 2 weeks or so, and I'm asking seniors, tell me some things which you're going to remember about PHS, and I'm wanting things like some kind of a philosophical statement or some kind of a quote and stuff, and I think the most common response I got was, make it short. So I'm going to try to make it as short as I can tonight. Sometimes I ramble on, you know that sometimes. I will try to make this as short as possible. If you see somebody nodding off, and you know this, how do you tell if somebody's nodding off? They go like this. The drool comes down the corner of their mouth. If you see somebody next to you doing that, I would really like you to pick up a few things I say tonight. So wipe the drool off their mouth, give them a little kick in the ribs, and we'll go from there. This is going to be a typical speech, graduation speech, and I thank Kim and Mr. Inman there for taking some of my stuff, or I'll be taking some of your stuff. You did an excellent job, by the way. It's very difficult to get up in front of your peers, especially to speak. I thought they did a good job. Here's what I'm going to do. We are going to do this. I'm going to tell you where you've been. You know where you've been. We're going to go over that just a bit. I'm going to tell you where you're at now, and I'm going to tell you where you should be heading and how you should get there to your future. And I'm going to use some props and things like that, and I'll make this as short as possible. All right. So let's go. Here we go. I'm going to put my time. I'm putting the chronograph on now, and I'm going to make this as short as possible. Freshman year. Come back with me now to your freshman year. Your freshman year meant these things. Freshman year meant, of course, riding the bus to school. That was always a memorable occasion, probably spitwads in the back of the head and things. Since you were a freshman, of course, you were in the front of the bus, and the upperclassmen probably got the back of the bus. And what's worse than that, if you didn't get to ride the bus, coming to school with mom and dad, and that was a memorable experience too, probably. So that was your freshman year. Schedule cards, of course, wandering around the halls and the pods, trying to find the right pod, trying to find the right room. Of course, made that a little more difficult by not putting any teachers' names on the room, so you get to go into the classrooms. Possibly you did this, and you're sitting there and you're wondering why in U.S. history they're talking about quadratic equations and trigonometry and things like that, and you realize halfway in the class that you may be in the wrong class. That's your freshman year. It's a year of first, being a part of your first homecoming, building your first homecoming float, choosing attendance for the homecoming court. The dances, once again, mom and dad picking you up because you can't drive yet. You're a freshman. That's fun. High school sports and activities and clubs, your first time going to ball games as a high school student. That was important. And meeting people and making new friends. That was your freshman year. Going on to your sophomore year now, if you will. And your sophomore year, you were probably going to be, you're no longer a freshman. That's nice. You had a year of high school under your belt. You now have your own freshman to pick on. And that's fun. Getting a job, perhaps, to pay for car insurance and gas so you could cruise St. Joe. That's always important to do. School activities weren't so new now. Your sophomore year, you had some MMAT testing. You all remember MMAT testing. That was a memorable experience. And some of you, of course, your first experience in ALC. Now, that'll come up later, too. Now you're moving on to your junior year. Your junior year meant this. You're now an upperclassman. You had things well in hand now. You're starting to be bigwigs. You could compete in varsity ball games now. Some of you, that was a big thing. Making more friends, or perhaps changing friends quite frequently now. Your first prom, perhaps, wondering if you'd ever become a senior, and finally you're becoming a senior. Some people also now, junior year, becoming very familiar with ALC. In fact, that probably became, for some of you, part of your schedule. Added that right into your schedule. And once again, you watched the senior class walk out the door for the last time when you were juniors. And although that was sad to see good friends go, that meant one important thing to you, that you finally were becoming a senior. Now your senior year meant these things. You were now the top dog in school. This was a year of lasts, much like your freshman year is a year of firsts. It's the year of lasts. Your last homecoming, probably remember that. Your last year of high school sports and clubs, your last prom. Mr. PHS for some people. Powder puff football for some people. Filling out college applications and scholarships for a lot of you. That was probably a senior experience. And for some of you people, it meant an honorary desk at ALC and probably a monument erected in your name at ALC. And some of you spent a lot of time there, perhaps. And finally, it meant good friends and lasting relationships. That was your senior year. Now, as you sit there, there's probably a lot of feelings going through your head about PHS, and I asked some of the seniors, and here's what some of the seniors said they'll remember most about PHS. Fire alarms going off continuously. Clubs that you're involved in. Commons with the friends. Walking from the new senior high to the old senior high in the rain and the cold. That's a memorable experience. The Cove and playing Cove ball. And there's a unique sport. Cove ball, yeah! Cove ball is an incredible sport. I've never seen Cove ball until I've been here. I'll never forget Cove ball. Cafeteria food, that's all they said. They didn't say good or bad, just cafeteria food. Football games, especially homecoming, when we finally got, the last couple of years, some fireworks and things like that. Going to state to see the girls' basketball team. That was a memorable experience in the powder puff game with no rules. I understand that got pretty rough this year. Now, some of you, I kind of relate to school. Some of you, school is like a speed bump in the path of life. And how did you get over the speed bump? Some of you went over pretty easy. Chatting with your friends, you're in your car, going over your speed bump. Don't even notice the speed bump, really. It's kind of a neat little experience. You just go right over the thing and you go on with the rest of the drive. To some of you, maybe the speed bump is like going to Hardee's. Before you got to the speed bump, you have a Coke in your lap, and as you go over the speed bump, you spill a Coke in your lap, and it's quite irritating. That may have been how high school is to you, but everybody has their different feelings about what high school is. Now, that takes us to where you're at now, to the present. Now, you're probably feeling right now some feelings of relief for some of you. Some of you a feeling of excitement. Some of you may be feeling some sadness, apprehension, fear of the unknown, maybe. And maybe it might not set in tonight, but it may take a day, it may take a week, it may take a month. Next year, about August or so, when it's time to go back to school, or when you normally would go back to school and you're not coming back to PHS, it definitely will set in then. And what's going to happen now? Let me use an example here, and I'm trying to go as quick as I can here because I know some of you want to get your life going. I want to relate this, and this is going to sound funny, but most of you have experienced this, and I'm sure most of you have played this game. Think of your life now and life after graduation as a game of basketball. I know that sounds weird, but think of it as a game of basketball. Now, if life is a game of basketball, what have you been doing the past 4 years or 12 years? You've been the sub. You've been the sixth man. You're waiting to get in the game. You've been practicing. Now, all through those years you've been practicing, but you've never been in the game. And tonight now, as you sit there, here's the deal. The coach, and the coach is myself, and the people that you see behind me, and the people that you see back there, friends and family and society in general, that's the coach of this game. The coach is saying, come on up to the front of the bench. He wants you to go into the game. So this is the point you're at right now. We're asking you to go into the ball game now. Now, the question you should ask yourself is, how successful will I be once I get into the game now? In other words, what have I done while I was in practice? And let's face it, we haven't all practiced the same. Go to a basketball practice sometime and you'll see some people practicing hard and working up a sweat, and some people haven't practiced quite as hard. You should ask yourself now, how have I practiced the last 4 years? What have I done in practice? Now, if we're relating this to a basketball game, think of this. I want you to think a little bit deeper than the words that I'm saying here. The plays in this game, the offensive plays and the defensive plays that you learn in practice are all the facts that you've acquired in school, problem-solving skills you've acquired, your social skills, how you get along with people, and your moral values. Those are the plays that you've been practicing. Now, how many plays are you going to take with you? That's the question you should ask yourself. How did you spend your time in practice? How did you practice? Now, there's a saying that goes, practice makes perfect, but let's change that a little bit. Perfect practice makes perfect. If you practice something wrong, then you're probably going to do that thing wrong. We want to know how you practiced. Okay, think about that a little bit. Now, just because somebody practiced harder than somebody else, don't get me wrong, doesn't mean they're more talented, doesn't mean they have more ability, just means that they may be a little bit better prepared right now. Now let me show you this way. If we could take all the plays that you learned in practice, and we write each individual play on a piece of paper, what are you going to carry your plays in? Well, here's what you're going to carry your plays in. Some of you that have practiced real hard, and you sweat a lot in practice, you're taking a garbage bag with you for your plays. A lot of plays. Some of you may not practice quite as much, but you're still there every day and you practice. Maybe carrying your plays in a grocery sack. Now there's maybe some other people that were coming to practice but didn't do much in practice perhaps, and they have a Ziploc baggie to carry their plays in. And there may be some people that can still put a bologna sandwich in there along with their plays. Now, I hope you're not getting the wrong idea. The people that are carrying a garbage bag of plays and the people that are carrying a Ziploc baggie of plays are even. Now, some of those people with the garbage bag may be a little bit better prepared. Doesn't mean they're any better than anybody else. Doesn't mean that they have any more ability than anybody else. Doesn't mean that they are more talented than anybody else. Now, what happens once you get into the game? Regardless of how you've been practicing, you're all about to go into the game. And we all want you to be successful. And here's what you can do to be successful. Now that you're in the game, we want you to score some goals in the game. We want you to score some baskets. First, you have to set some goals. Now, Donald Trump said, and I think you all know who Donald Trump is, the billionaire, as long as you're going to be thinking anyway, think big. As long as you're going to be thinking anyway, think big. Set your goals high, but set them attainable. Don't be satisfied with mediocrity. Now, when you get out there and you're in the game, you're going to be surrounded by a sea of mediocrity. Now, you can approach that two ways. You can float around in the sea of mediocrity and let the waves carry you. And if you do that, they're going to push you right up to the shore of Average Island, and that's where you're going to be stranded. Or you can go ahead and learn how to swim. If you learn how to swim, you can take yourself to any island that you want to take yourself to. That's how you should approach this game of basketball. Believe in yourself and your abilities and be loyal to yourself. You can be loyal to a lot of people, but be loyal to yourself first. I read a good story about loyalty that I want to share with you. It doesn't take too long. The football coach down at Baylor a little bit ago, in his third year there, they won their conference championship. And he'd only been there 3 years. Now, the first 2 years, they were struggling a little bit. And right before that third season, the assistant coach came up to the head coach and wondered if he wanted to go hunting with him. And he said that sounded like a good idea. He wanted to relieve some stress before that third season started. So they hopped in their pickup trucks and they went to this farmer's place, and the farmer said that they could hunt there. And as they got to the farmer's house, the head coach of Baylor, he got out and went up to the house, and the assistant coach stayed in the truck. And when he went to the door, the farmer came out and he said, "You know, Coach, you've done a really great job the last 2 years. Your record hasn't been the greatest, but I can see that you guys are improving, and you guys are probably going to win a championship this year." And the head coach was so surprised, and he felt so flattered. He said, "You know, I appreciate that." And he said, "If there's anything I can ever do for you, just let me know." And the farmer said, "Well, actually, there is something you can do. We got a mule that has a crippling disease out there in the field, and I'd appreciate, since you have your guns with you, if you could put her out of her misery for me." And the head coach said, "Sure, that's no problem. We can take care of that for you." And the farmer said, "Well, I really appreciate that. And when you're done, come on back in and we'll have some supper." And as the head coach was going back to the truck, he thought, you know, this would be a great way to play a practical joke on my assistant coach. So as he's going back to the truck, bit his lip real hard. He got a scowl on his face and kind of a watery eyes. And the assistant coach saw him and he said, "Hey, what's going on?" And the head coach said, "You know, when I went up to the door, as soon as I opened the door, that farmer started cussing me out, said what a terrible team we had this year. We haven't done a darn thing to prepare these people." And the assistant coach couldn't believe it because he'd already talked to the guy. And the guy said it was all right to hunt on his land. And the head coach went on to say, and then the farmer went on to say that we're probably the worst coaches that he's ever seen. And the assistant coach looked at him, he couldn't believe it. And he said, on top of all that, the farmer told us to get off his land. Didn't want to see us there, he's going to call the law on us. The assistant coach said, "I cannot believe that because I had this set up," and the farmer said it was all right. The head coach said, "You know, that makes me so mad and I'm so sick of criticism, I'm going to shoot his mule." And the assistant coach looked at him, he said, "Now, wait a minute now. I realize you're mad, but we're really going to be in trouble with the law." And the head coach said, I don't care. I'm really getting tired of this stuff. I'm going to shoot that old mule." And he went and got the gun, got him in his sights, and bang! Shot the mule dead. He turned to look at the assistant coach, and as he's turning to look, he hears bang, bang! The assistant coach looks at him and says, "Look at that, I got 2 of his cows for you." Now that may be taking loyalty a little bit too far there. And the point of the story is there's some people you need to be loyal to, and one of them is yourself. And I want you to be loyal to yourself. You all have the ability to reach your goals. Some of you may get there faster than others, but you all have the ability to do that. And those who reach their goals faster doesn't mean that they're going to be more successful. I want you to remember this definition of success. Success is not measured by how you perform compared with how others perform. You may have twice as much ability as others, or only half of their ability. But real success is measured by how you do compared with what you could be doing with the ability that God gave you. So don't compare your success to other people. Compare it to what you have inside of you, and use what you have inside of you. Teddy Roosevelt summed that up very simply by saying, do what you can with what you have where you are. There's a lot of talent in this class. You all have different talents. It's important that you find those talents and you use those talents. The greatest enemy of excellence is good. And don't get me wrong, it's good to be good, but I challenge you to go a step beyond good and strive for excellence in your life. Achieving excellence may take some sacrifices, and it may cause some irritation for you for a while, but in the long run, it's going to be a very rewarding and worthwhile experience. Swimming through the sea of mediocrity is going to get you tired, but it's very rewarding at the end. Let me wrap this up right now. Before I wrap this up, there's some things I want you to ask yourself and reflect upon sometime, maybe not now, but tomorrow or next week or sometime next month or whenever. Ask yourself what you've done in practice. How many plays did you learn? What are you going to carry your plays in? How many goals do you want to score when you get in the game? We're about to put you in the game. What will it take to reach your goals? One more thing I want you to reflect upon. Reflect upon the time you spent at PHS and what it means to you. Remember that you have a tradition to uphold. 99 graduating classes before you are depending on you to uphold the pride of PHS and excellence in education. And don't forget your roots. You know, things won't always be real peachy in your life. It's going to be tarnished with things like bills to pay and high taxes and unemployment, maybe death of a loved one and sickness and injury and a lot of other things. But remember that if the game gets too rough or you get too tired, in this game you can call a timeout. You're not going to get a technical. Call as many timeouts as you want. Now, when you're having a real rough day 15 or 20 years from now, the wife's nagging at you or the husband's nagging at you, you got kids screaming, you're probably going to go up to the secret place in the attic where you go during your timeouts. You're going to pull out your old senior yearbook probably from a box up there. You're going to open that senior yearbook, and senior yearbooks are real special. You're going to open it up, blow the dust off it. It's been up there for 20 years. As you're sitting there, not only have you opened up that yearbook, the amazing thing about opening a yearbook is that you also open up some floodgates in your mind, and the memories are going to come pouring out. First thing you're going to do probably is you're going to sit up there in the attic. You called your time out, find your yearbook, flip through the pages, and when you flip through a yearbook, time stands still. As you're flipping through those pages, first thing you do is look at the picture and see how funny everybody looked. You'll see some friends, some people that you knew, and you'll laugh, and you'll see your picture, and you go, oh my God, look at my hairdo. Or you might be in my situation, and look at that and go, oh my God, I had hair. But you're going to see those people. You're going to keep flipping through that book, and you see pictures of homecoming, your sweetheart dance, and your football games, and the clubs you were in, the prom. Best of all, you're going to see all the friends. And you'll probably laugh, and you'll cry a little bit. But you're not going to cry because you're sad, probably, because those are such good memories. The best thing about it is that you all have different memories that you're going to take with you from PHS, and no one can ever take those away from you. And let me say a quick quote here from Abraham Lincoln when he's giving his Gettysburg Address. He said, "The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here." And let's change that a little bit. I'm going to borrow that from Mr. Lincoln. "You may little note nor long remember what was said here tonight by myself, or the valedictorian or the salutatorian, but you'll never forget what you did at PHS." Whether your memories are mostly good or mostly bad, some people have bad memories, some people have good memories, PHS has affected your life and it's going to remain with you forever. And you're never going to forget that. One last quote before I close. It's a real good quote for graduation. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "What lies behind you and what lies before you pale in significance when compared to what lies within you." You know what lies behind you. You're not sure possibly what lies before you. But I hope you know that what lies within you is something really important. Find your talent and use your talent. And I know that coaches usually say, don't go out and be the high scorer, be a team player. But I hope that if I see you on the street here in Perryville 20 years from now, that you can stop me and say, "Coach, I've scored a lot of goals in the game. I've made a lot of baskets. And I truly hope that you become the high scorer in the game of life." I wish you all good luck and success. I appreciate you all. I appreciate the years you give me here at PHS. And I hope that you find the talent within you and use the talent to your best ability. Thank you all.
Mr. Schaefer, there are 186 students in the graduating class of 1993. The record of each student has been examined, and all complete the minimum requirements for graduation set forth by the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and our local Board of Education. This time, I present to Mr. Schaefer, President of Perry County School District Number 32 Board of Education, the class of 1993, to receive their diplomas. In order for all names to be heard clearly, I would ask that our audience please hold their applause until each row is completed. Shelley Lynn Munier. Dawn Elaine Crater. Leela J. Yamnitz. Valerie Elizabeth Rose. Nicole Denise Sanding. I'd like to congratulate the class of 93 and also thank them for their generous contribution as they came forward this evening to the district scholarship program. At this time, I'd like all of the class of 93, as well as all of the parents, friends, and guests here this evening, to rise as the band and the choir perform the PHS Alma Mater. Gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure at this time to present unto you the graduates of the class of 1993.